Perhaps you own a Canon EOS-M series camera like this M50 which belongs to my girlfriend. They're excellent cameras. They've got an APS-C sized sensor or Super 35, and of course they're mirrorless, so the body can be absolutely tiny. Rather than use the bulkier Canon EF mount, they have the more compact EF-S mount. And that's fine, but the choice of lenses is still a bit limited, at least in comparison with the range of EF mount lenses you can get, new or used of course. And if you already do have a collection of EF lenses, it's frustrating that this tiny M50, for example, can't use them, unless you use an adapter. Canon, of course, makes such an adapter, yours for only about £140. And pretty much any EF lens can then go on your M series camera. But, Amanda, I hear you ask, what about third-party adapters? They come in at a fraction of the price of the Canon item, but I've heard that they can brick the camera, or the lens, or both. Well, keep watching. So that you don't have to, I bought one and tested it with my own EF mount lenses and my girlfriend's Canon M50. So here it is. It's all over eBay and Amazon. The Meike EF-M adapter. Meike? I'm going to say Meike. Well, anyway, the body is plastic, so it's slightly alarmingly light. It's got a tripod mounting foot with a 1/4-inch screw in it, and there's no glass in it. So it won't change the focal length of lenses you put on it, or the effective aperture, as a Metabone speed booster can, for example. And this means that the angle of view of any lens you put on it is reduced from what it would be on a full-frame camera by a factor of about 1.6. Does it brick the camera or the lens? No. You see, converters like Metabones' that allows, say, a Canon lens to work on a Sony body must of course act as a mechanical connection just to hold the lens at the right distance from the sensor on the front of the camera. But they also have to translate instructions from, in this example, the Sony camera body into Canon language so that a Canon mount lens can understand and respond appropriately. And likewise, if the camera is to accurately report and record what the lens is up to in terms of its focus distance and aperture and so on, then the adapter must also translate the other way from Canon lens information to something a Sony body can understand. And to do this, an intermount adapter, like a speed booster, has to have a little electronic brain all of its own to do the translation. It's powered by the camera, just as the lens is, and there's usually a USB socket, so that you can update its firmware if need be. If that little translation engine isn't doing its job as well as it needs to, the lens functions might not work well, or they might not work at all. Or worse, it could send misinformation to the lens or to the camera, which messes with its little electronic mind so much that it just stops functioning. But here's more good news. Evidently, Canon EF mount lenses and cameras and Canon EF-M mount lenses and cameras all speak the same language. So all an adapter like this has to do, besides being a mechanical connection, is to pass the electronic information through. No translations necessary, so there's no possibility of upsetting either the lens or the camera. And this cheap Meike adapter does that just fine. Autofocus, aperture control and reporting, image stabilization, it all works on my Sigma 24-70, my Tokina 11-16, and even my monster Sigma 150-500. So if you need one, you can stop worrying and just get one. Because then you can just borrow your girlfriend's lenses instead of having to get your own. Autofocus, aperture control and reporting, image stabilization, autofocus, aperture, God.